Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Greg. Welcome to the channel. Today I wanted to talk about Ketu and the aspects of Ketu. Ketu is the south node of the moon, and it's also connected to Rahu, which is the north node of the moon. So it's right there connected to the moon right away. The moon, your mind, your emotions. It's really how you react to the world, how you feel about the world, how you express yourself. It's your sun is your personality, your ego, your soul, but how it comes out and filters into you is your moon. And we got Rahu and Ketu are associated with the moon. They're the nodes of the moons. They have the power to eclipse the sun and the moon, so they're very powerful. And they're known as malefic planets, meaning they can cause disturbance, obstacles, that kind of stuff. So I wanted to talk about Ketu because I've been researching Ketu, and I really like working with Ketu. And the main reason for that is because it's in my first house. I got Ketu in the first house, and you want to know what sign your first house is in. I'm a Cancer, so I'm a Cancer ascendant, and I got Ketu in there. So wherever Ketu sits, whatever house it sits in, it represents that in a past life you have conquered that house that it sits in. So in this case, the first house, it means like I've had a healthy ego at one point in my life, in another life. I had a good ego, I had a good healthy body. I knew how to eat the right things, whatever, have a good healthy mental health, good self-esteem, good courage, good stamina, good thinking, all that type of stuff. And so in this life, I have a detachment from those kind of personality traits. And it's true. Basically what happens is a person who has Ketu in the first house can kind of like lose themselves when they're around other people because they feel other people's energies so much, so intensely, And this is where if you're not really in harmony with your life, meaning you're not following your soul's greatest joy and you're like neglecting things in your life, and then I get around people, that's when I can really get affected by people a lot. I start feeling their energy on a deep level. And also when I'm around people too, I have a natural kind of a feeling about knowing that people are, man, this person's just pure ego. This person has no sense of spirituality, hasn't tapped into that within themselves yet. And it's not that I'm putting them down or anything either. In my mind, I'm just like, I could sense that these people are just all up here. They're all intellect. They haven't tapped into this third eye right here. They're more into that reptilian brainstem, that fight or flight. They're really full of fear and constantly, but they're acting courageous and tough. But it's really what's going on is fear. A lot of the macho men in the world are like that. I've experienced that a lot, and people don't have this heart area shining out of them. So that's what happens when Ketu's in your first house. You can really sense that with people. And also the sign that your Ketu is in, you want to see where that planet is in. In my case, I'm a Cancer, so I want to look where the moon is. The moon rules Cancer. And I got my moon. My moon is in the 12th house. 12th house represents spirituality, imagination. It's solidarity. It can represent like asylums, or it could represent like spiritual isolation, growing, expanding, higher consciousness. It represents foreign places. It represents where you lose your energy. So yeah, I got my moon right there in the 12th house, so that right away gets me attracted to spirituality and really going it alone, expanding my spirituality on my own. Like I don't really have an interest in doing it with other people, going to whatever meditation gatherings and all that type of stuff. But yeah, I don't really have an interest in that. I was gonna say it might be interesting, but when I think about it, I'm like, nah. I'd rather do it myself. Rather chill at home right here, go into a deep state of consciousness, turn off all the lights, light a candle, light some incense, go deep. When I'm isolated, that's when I could really expand. That's when I start getting into these visionary states. And those are, yeah, I'm still trying to learn how to really get into deep visionary states. So I got that moon in the 12th house. It's originally ruled by Pisces, the 12th house. And this represents the, like emotional sensitivity, psychic energies. And I do feel those type of energies a lot when I'm out in the world or at home or, yeah, anything, doing Qigong meditation. Sometimes I get the sense of there's some kind of a presence going on here. I felt some different things. I've had lights turn on and off before. When I get into these different states of mind, start tripping me out. First, I used to get into like a fear-based thing, but the more I get used to it, the more it's like, if there's a consciousness, an invisible consciousness, it's like me. I mean, I happen to be a physical one, but that's an invisible one, or whatever you want to call it. It's just energy. Everything is just energy. So Ketu aspects the 5th and the 9th house from its position. So that 5th house, in my case, is actually the 5th house. You want to count the house that Ketu's in. You want to count that as the first house. So you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm aspecting my 5th house. The 5th house is the house of creativity. It's the house of entertainment. It's a fun house. It's a house of lovers, like bed pleasures, that type of stuff. It doesn't necessarily mean the spouse, but flirtation type of stuff. It's a house of mantra too, ritual. And for me, mostly I relate to the creativity part, where Ketu is like looking at that house and showing interest in that 5th house from it. That 5th house usually represents that dharma, that path, that pathway that you want to go onto. And for me, it's creativity, because I'm interested in music. My soul's greatest joy is music. As long as I'm daily practicing music, stimulating my mind, my soul with creativity, I feel good. I start neglecting that and I go out into the world, I start feeling the emotions of other people too much, because I got that Ketu in the 1st house. Feel that too much. So, and it's also, the 5th house is a house of children too. I don't have much interest in having children though, I never been interested in having kids. So there's that detachment too that Ketu could bring. Ketu really represents that type of a detachment, because it has no head. Ketu doesn't have a mind to think, and this can represent, in the positive sense, it could represent a spiritual state of consciousness. In the negative sense, it could represent like schizophrenia, or, people who don't think or just react to things right away, in a violent type of a way. So it aspects that 5th house, and it aspects the 9th house. So in my case, it aspects the actual 9th house, since it's in the 1st house. The 9th house is a house of spirituality. Let me go back to that. The 5th house too. I got Jupiter in my 5th house. Jupiter retrograde in the 5th house, and Jupiter's already a significator of the 5th house. And from what I've read, Jupiter is the one that has the power to control Ketu and make it align with it, in a spiritual sense. So I got that Jupiter in the 5th house. That already takes me more into this interest in spirituality. And with music too, that's totally what I feel when I play music. And when I'm writing lyrics, it's all about like spiritual growth. It's all about, mental growth, that type of stuff. When I play, I get into altered states of consciousness where I lose sense of time. And I'm like, damn, 10 minutes have already gone by. Shit. So I get into that interest like that. Then so I got into the 9th house too. And the 9th house, I got Pisces right there too. So I got this connection. Pisces is ruled by Jupiter too. The 9th house represents higher consciousness. It represents gurus, physical growth, spiritual growth. So I got that too. Ketu's over there looking at that too. So another thing is it's ruled by Jupiter too. So Jupiter's got this control of Ketu in these triangles, which is good for me. It makes me very interested in spirituality and detachment from the outer world, which, yeah, I do feel that a lot nowadays that I've gotten older. Now that I've gotten onto this, the Thunder Wizard path, and since last April of 2018, that's when I first started talking to the Thunder Wizard. And I stopped drinking and other stuff, so I don't do any kind of stuff like that. So it makes me disinterested in hanging out with people who like to drink a lot or do drugs. I just can't relate to it no more. And yeah, that's what's going on in my life, is I'm going towards this more spiritual route in my life. And like I was saying, my ascendant is Cancer. Cancer is ruled by the moon, so I got that moon in the 12th house. That's spirituality right there, isolation. And it's originally ruled by Pisces too, and I got that Pisces connection in the 9th house too. So I got all these connections with Jupiter and Ketu, the spirituality going on. And yeah, that's exactly what's going on. So you want to look where your Ketu is and look at the 5th and 9th house aspects from it. And you want to see what Ketu's looking at, what Ketu wants to research, which is that 5th house. And where Ketu wants to grow is that 9th house aspect from it. And yeah, this really helps you in your life, helps you grow. Yeah, that's all I wanted to talk about. Anybody interested in Thunder Astrology reading, leave the link on the bottom. Talk to you guys later. Peace out.